Oh, God bless you. Thanks, Steve. Wonderful. Good morning. It's 7:31. You're listening to Rouser Radio, coming out of the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex, in the UK. A little precursor of the course of an hour, just to taking a look at, as the eyes get ready for the day, what's happening. And the genial man on the front desk, Steve, has brought me my coffee. I'm sucking on a biscuit. So we're ready to go? That's Ben Sound Ukulele, which heralds each day on Rouser Radio. Welcome to our little natter, 3/4 of an hour, outside. It's a very pleasant morning, very pleasant indeed. We're going to see about 23 again today, a modest breeze, light breeze, some cloud, but generally speaking, sunny. Another nice day, and it's turning into be a very agreeable summer. When did we last have that? A long time ago. What we don't want is oh, God bless you, see? I told you that Steve is genial. He's looking after me. He brought me coffee. He's brought the light for our later broadcast. Yeah? God bless him. How are you this morning, Steve?
Very well, thank you very much.
That's good.
Busy as always.
Yeah, and he was up at the crack of dawn just to get here and make sure the doors were open for me.
That's it. Only for you.
So that's our Steve, who, along with Jane and Shannon and Sally, look after front of house. Wes later in the day. If you're coming into the White Hart, ask for any of those, and they will look after you with a smile and attentiveness you won't get elsewhere. Believe me, it is really, really terrific here at the White Hart. So let us take a look for the moment, and start to take a look anyway, at what it is that the papers have to say. He said. There we go. Basically, there are two themes this morning. One, the unions are so fed up with both Sunak and Truss saying they're going to take on the unions that they are now threatening a general strike. Everybody else. Personally, I can't see that would have much effect. Everybody is out already on working from home, working from somewhere other than headquarters, or not working at all. So, what difference a general strike will make is God only knows. I can't see it myself. But there you are. I don't head a union, or for that matter, I don't head the government. Mind you, I'm not sure that I couldn't do a better job on the government than is being done at the moment. But still, a general strike threat if Truss takes on the unions, and that's the headline in the I newspaper. What the newspaper says is Mick Lynch, head of the RMT union, that's the rail union, has said there could be a general strike if Liz Truss becomes Prime Minister and introduces laws intended to make it harder for unions to organise industrial action. Mr. Lynch is quoted as calling for an enormous response if the measures go ahead. Well, it's interesting. It will tell you where people's hearts lie. He's sort of got used to a curb on union power since the 1980s, when Margaret Thatcher was the last Prime Minister to take on the unions. It seems, in many ways, that unions and government have lived in reasonable harmony. But we live in unusual times, and God only knows what's going to happen next. So, using the old standbys of strikes and walkouts and so on, are they going to work anymore? Or do the unions have to find new ways of making their point? And will governments take advantage of perhaps a general apathy towards strikes in the me generation? If you don't get a train, it's all about me. If you can get a train, it's all about me. So there is generally a different attitude in the country than there was even 20 years ago. The Guardian: unions issue general strike threat as the rail crisis grows. What does the Guardian say? Mr. Lynch's threat, combined with strikes this week and planned action by other unions, look set to deepen a summer of industrial unrest. It also reports that senior shadow ministers have expressed private concern about Labour's current policy of not allowing frontbenchers to join picket lines, arguing it could become unsustainable. Well, there we are. Trouble in every party. The Metro: the driest July since 1911. Aha! A lack of rain is set to make this July the driest since 1911. The Metro says the average rainfall across England this month has been only 0.6 inches, 1.5 centimetres for those who measure it in a different way, a quarter of the usual amount. And it points out that the last time levels were so low was the summer the Titanic launched and George V was crowned. Wow! Now that's a long time ago. That's over 100 years ago, isn't it? Yeah, yes, right. Since 1911. Indeed it is. It's well over. It's 110, 111 years ago. The Star. What is my wonderful favourite Star got to say? Tip-top advice to stop a drought this summer. Grease is the word, is the headline. Don't wash your hair, you mucky lot. Take a shower for less than 5 minutes and use the same dirty teacup all day. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Does it have any comment? The Star says the best way to stop the hot weather leading to a drought is cut your showers short, stop washing your hair, and reuse your teacup. Grease is the word. Well, I can remember at one stage when we were short of water that the government or the water companies or somebody ran a campaign is take a shower with a friend. I much prefer that idea. I could take my soap and my towel, and I could go and knock on the door of several friends and say, "Hello, I'm here to take a shower with you." I wonder how that would go down. Well, 30 years ago, it might have been all right, but I tell you nowadays, they take one look at my shape and say, go and take your own bloody shower. Right, the Daily Express fears that energy bills will hit a shocking £3,850 a year, and that is shocking. What the Express is always government supporting, so let's see what it says. Household energy bills could soon rise to an average annual cost of £3,850. The paper quotes consumer rights expert Martin Lewis saying this is going to be a horrendous autumn and a horrendous winter. So there you are. You better brace yourselves for very high energy costs. Um, yes, I think I'll start to get hold of a few friends. I don't mind taking a shower with a friend, right? Cut down on the energy bills. The Mirror. Uh, Cost of living crisis shocking. Energy bills could hit £500 for 1 month this winter. If you actually multiply that by 12, you get £6,000, not 3,800. And I'm ready to start believing that. The Mirror leads with reporting that the winter could see a shocking peak monthly energy cost of £500. He quotes a Labour spokesperson as criticising the Tories for a lack of action and saying that was leaving families worried. I say it is. The Financial Times, God bless it. It goes overseas because many people don't understand interest rates and central banks and so on and so forth. So its headline needs a bit of explanation. Is the Fed lifts rates by 0.75 points for a second month in a row. Now the Fed has traditionally been very, very conservative in wanting to raise interest rates, but inflation is scaring the hell out of them. So this is the second time that it's put up. I think he put it up. Put it up by 7.75, which is a big jump in their language for a second time in a month. Well, the second month in a row, and it just shows you the worry and fear that they have about inflation grabbing hold and galloping away, because galloping inflation is far more destructive than anything else that we possibly got. Um, let's see, it's the decision by the US Federal Reserve to raise its benchmark interest rate by 0.75% percentage points as part of efforts to tame inflation leads the Financial Times. The paper says the Fed is now in the throes of the most aggressive cycle of monetary tightening since 1981, and that further rate rises are expected later in the year. Wow. Now that's happening 5,000 miles away, and in something that normally passes by most people's radar. Believe me, those are the things that you really need to watch if you want to know how much it's going to cost you to live while we fight inflation. The Daily Mail, victory for free speech and women. The Daily Mail leads with a ruling that the Garden Court legal chambers discriminated against barrister Alison Bailey when it investigated and upheld a complaint against her because she expressed a belief that biological sex cannot be changed. The paper described the judgment, the outcome of an employment tribunal brought by Miss Bailey as a victory for free speech and women. Oh dear. And the Mail says, what will Angela say? Keir sacks his number two's lover, who joined the rail strikers. They have a wonderful time in Westminster. If only they could persuade us to have the same sort of time with them, instead of them enjoying all their privileges and leaving us to sort out everything on the ground. The Times, talk to our enemies or run the risk of nuclear war. The Times says that UK National Security Advisor, Sir Stephen Lovegrove, has warned that the West is at risk of stumbling into a nuclear conflict with China or Russia. He was speaking in Washington and said that a collapse of backdoor channels between rival powers has increased the risk of a rapid escalation to strategic conflict. Well, there's a warning, and in some ways, I suppose we've been saying the same thing. The Daily Telegraph: an accidental nuclear war with China, a growing risk. It takes a slightly different angle on Sir Stephen's comments, and they quote him as saying Britain had clear concerns that China was expanding its nuclear arsenal and that China's disdain for arms control and its agreements was a daunting prospect. Yes, yesterday and over the last little while, we've been saying we've taken our eye off China, and our American colleagues, Melissa Conti particularly, made sure that she said broadly, we're very concerned about China in the United States, and you don't seem to be over there. Well, now the alarm bells are beginning to go ding 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 ding, ding, and the experts are warning us, take our eye off the ball, and we're in trouble. But we've been so busy with an iced cake and a half bottle of champagne that we've let the thing go. That's what the 650 did. Silly nonsense. Just the wrong time. And look at the mess that it's in. Two lightweights yelling at one another, screaming at one another, to the point where the moderator faints in their debate. Goodness gracious me. The Sun, which has stayed out of politics mainly, Tuchel taps up a Brazilian. And although it does say that unions are threatening to hold a general strike this year, the Sun carries a picture of Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel on holiday with a woman said to be his new partner. I don't want to get into this dirty washing, but it's all about football transfers and so on, which are the most boring things on earth, in my opinion. But there we are. That's just me. And what's the weather going to be? Well, it's going to be about 23, 24 degrees, either pleasantly warm, a bit of cloud covering now and again, but also sunny spells, and a light breeze. When they say a light breeze, that's enough to lift my hat off. I traditionally wear trilbies or summer hats similar to trilbies, and away they go, floating down the high street, and I have to chase after them in most undignified fashion. Oh dear, 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 dear! How dreadful! Let's go to a kind of a party with many vandals. I love this one. Well, there we are. The mini vandals kind of a party. Yes, we do play the same stuff. It's day in, day out, but then so does everybody else from the top 40, so why shouldn't we? Now, everything is so full of the Lionesses, and somebody was telling me this morning that they have now sold out for the final. And for women's football, that is terrific. Uh, I'm not sexist in any way, but it has always struggled. We're going to beat Germany. They beat France 2-1 in the other semi-final. But everybody's getting very, very excited about this, and so they should. Very, very good. Oh dear. Back to football. Aston Villa, because that is my team, if you like. We all have a team, don't we? Just the same as we know which birth sign is. That it's now come under. It's been revealed that Dean Smith fined Aston Villa players for failing to bring in cakes on their birthday. Any sign of the sweet treats in the Steven Gerrard era would bring a similarly severe punishment. Gerrard takes the armband off Mings. He's changed his captain, I mean that's how far it's a bit like the ice cake, isn't it? In Westminster, that's all they've got to offer on the back pages. Now, who's bought what? How many players have changed? Right, there's not much else really to. We must beat the Aussies. England have to overtake arch rivals and top medal table, says team chief. That's what used to be called the Commonwealth Games. No, it used to be called the Empire Games. Now called the Commonwealth Games. That's starting in Birmingham, I think, today. Johnny Bairstow at the crease, hitting lots of stuff in the T20. England versus South Africa. How did they do? Let's see. England beat South Africa by 47 runs. Oh, well, that's a bit of good news. There we go. If you dig deep enough now, you can find good news on the back pages. Let's go back to ourselves. It is 7:54. Let me tell you a little bit about Rouser Radio, because it is really just 3/4 of an hour of chit chat and gossip and look at the news headlines to ease you into the day prior to Mirador Television, our sister station, television station, which goes on the air at 8:30, and also just has a look at the day. Mirador is unusual in as much as it follows the pattern of an old BBC programme from many years ago called Pebble Mill at 1. And the boss at Pebble Mill was a guy called Phil Sidey, and he looked at the broadcast centre for the Midlands, and he said, "What are we going to do with all this empty space?" Because they built into it a big atrium, and essentially he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have a nice entertainment programme right in the middle of our building in this empty space?" And I'm looking for. Whoops! I'm looking for a hanky. I haven't got one. But never mind. I managed to get something in place. And what we'll do is we'll have this programme, And people coming into work and people coming in to keep appointments and so on will walk right through the middle of the set. And it'll make it interesting and it'll make it busy. And indeed it did. It was a very popular program for many, many years until, of course, the BBC, which is about like the Conservative Party eating its young, decided it was so successful they'd better do away with it. So they sacked Phil Sidey. Um, I mean, it's very typical of the BBC. It hasn't changed over the years, to be quite honest with you, and that's the reason that it's not very good. You've got a lot of people running around who are very good at politics and very good at conspiring, not very good at their jobs. And it will continue to be that way as long as we allow that. But since it's likely to come to a sticky end in about 10 years' time, is why worry about it? Just let it self implode. But Mirador Television is just a streaming TV. It starts at 8:30 in the bar at the White Horse Hotel, a very famous hotel. It's where Tom Paine wrote his Rights of Man and started the American Revolution. And it goes throughout the day, and we have guests, but also anybody who happens to wander through. And we say, hey, you, who are you? Come and chat to us. Come and have a word. And that way we get a feel for what's happening around the country, around the town, in the hotel. You name it. I couldn't tell you on any given day what's going to happen because I simply don't know, and neither do any of the other presenters. I mean, we've got some pretty nice people who are quite good at their jobs. So we're not a bad broadcaster at all. At least we know what we're doing. And so that's the sort of television show that we have at 8:30 through to 11:30, and you are very welcome to drop in for a minute, for half an hour, for the whole 3 hours if you want, although I doubt it. It's Mirador Television, which you can find at miradortelevision.com or Mirador Television on YouTube or Mirador Television Lewis on Facebook or Lewis Television Mirador, also on Facebook. So plenty of opportunities for you to opt in and find us, and we would love you to do so. And we have a range of people. As today we are going to Scotland and Gordonston, the school that played host to Prince Charles when he was a schoolboy, and Jane Watkins is up there running a summer school. She normally is a correspondent from Hastings, but she's up there and she tells us what's going on in Scotland and what's going on at Gordonston and so on. I expect right now she's enjoying her porridge. She said that everybody turns to porridge as they're in Scotland, to porridge oats to have for breakfast. Not a bad start to the day. Not a bad start at all. What do you think? Well, thank you for that vote of confidence in our porridge policy. It's now bang on 8 o'clock. Just a reminder of the front pages that we'll take a very quick run through. But here are some of the things that are grabbing the nation's attention. Is first of all the rail unions, Mickledge is threatening a general strike later in the year if Liz Truss goes through with her union reforms. The Guardian is on the same thing. Union issue a general strike threat as the rail crisis grows. The Metro, the driest July since 1911. Well, there you are. I mean, that's 110, 111 years. The Daily Star. Oh, I love the Daily Star. Grease is the word. What it says is share. Oh, don't wash your hair. Take a shower for just 5 minutes, no more, and use the same dirty teacup all day. Oh, and that will help. And I was reminded of the campaign of a few years ago where it was take a shower with a friend. I much preferred that. Take a shower with a friend. That was great. They should have resurrected that. Daily Express fears energy bills will hit a shocking £3,850 a year. And that's echoed by the Mirror, which actually it says energy bills could hit £500 for a month. And if that's the case, we'll all have to share our beds with a friend, I think. Well, my bed is there for a friend anytime, or even an enemy if she's good looking. Financial Times. The Fed lifts the rates by 0.75 points for the second month in a row. That's fairly significant. Don't discount those stories because it shows the fear of inflation that the central banks have. They took their eye off the ball, they let inflation start to gallop along, and now they are trying their hardest to cap it. And they do that by making money more expensive and raising interest rates. But of course, when they do that, that filters through to the high street and eventually adds more to prices. And the price crisis is bad enough as it is. The Daily Mail, victory for free speech. And it talks about a lady called Bailey who went to an industrial tribunal because she was sacked for saying that she believed that biological sex can't be changed. And she was working in a legal chambers, and they sacked her for that. The industrial tribunal says, "Don't be so silly," and in fact, don't be so silly. I wouldn't use that chambers with all the tea in China. The Times. Talk to our enemies or run the risk of nuclear war. That's a bit frightening. But what the pundits are saying, the experts are saying, is that normal channels, because of all the crises in the world, between the major powers, China, Russia, the United States, and ourselves, are being blocked because of all the various things that are happening with energy and war and so on. And that because of that, it increases the risk that diplomatic efforts to stop the use of nuclear arms or nuclear bombs is becoming much more difficult. So let's hope that one way or another, our masters in Westminster find a way around keeping the dialogue going. The Daily Telegraph. It follows up accidental nuclear war with China is a growing risk. The Sun. Well, that's all about the football story. Doesn't mean anything to me or probably to a whole lot of other people. So those are the things that are on the front pages this morning when you wake up. What you'll also wake up to is a nice mild day, 23 degrees, which is fairly constant. I think it's going to be 24 tomorrow. Not the screaming heat that we had last week, but nonetheless, a fairly nice, pleasant summer. Some cloud, but mostly sunshine. And I'm looking out at the high street at the moment. I think it must be a bit cloudy. It's not its usual sunny self. And no chance of rain, and a light breeze. So that's the sort of day that you can expect. And it's 8:05 on the 28th day of July. My God, where did this month go to? The 28th day of July. And it's in the year 2022. So, where are we? What are we doing? Why are we doing various things that we are? Heaven only knows. The country is in a mess. Our leaders don't know what they're doing. The unions are making the usual sound of stamping their little feet when they're thwarted. But I suspect times have changed even there. We are beset by people who are working from home, which means that most of them aren't working at all. And from the demise of the British pub. And that has got to be the worst cut of all. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Let's go to Breeze by Telecasted. Breeze, breeze, breeze by telecasted, a little gentle sort of thing. Very nice to see us off into the clouds from Rouser this morning. It's now 8:08, and we normally disappear around 14, 15 minutes past the hour. Just time to have another gentle chat. And can I say that we have in the hotel this morning, all sorts of people coming and going very early on. Well, we have young Steve in the reception area. Undoubtedly, he'll be joined by Jane. I believe that Shannon has got the day off. Sally, who's the boss, of course, will float around. But what a team they are. They are, oh, and this big Wes, yes, who comes on later in the day. What a team they are. They are very solicitous. They look after you. They do it with a smile. No complaints. All very pleasant. All very jolly. All look after me, and they look after every other person staying in the hotel with equal aplomb. Let's put it that way. Equal aplomb. It makes it a very pleasant experience coming into the White Hart. And in the lounge, Cliff Ayres, the owner, encourages people to come and just plonk their bottoms down on a chair. You don't even have to buy a cup of coffee if you don't want to. It's just a nice, comfortable meeting place. And it was a long time prior to us broadcasting here that I had come in really in the daytime. But now there is a whole community of people, lovely people. They more or less know one another. They give a passing nod to let everybody know that they acknowledge the presence of the others, and then they get on with whatever they want to do. Could be writing a note, or it could be chatting to an important VIP. It could be indeed. So, all in all, coming to the White Hart in the morning is a pleasant experience. One that you should at least try out once in a while. Once in a while. Yeah, a bit older. Mostly a bit older, but not necessarily. There are some, what I would call youngsters of 30, 35, 40, quite often here. Not too many of 18, although our Max likes plumping his bottom in a chair in the lounge, and he's only 18. So you've got plenty of choice of companions, or you can sit in the corner and say nothing and enjoy your day without people getting too outraged at you, bothering you, or even, as I say, asking you to buy a cup of coffee, which is not bad, not a bad deal at all. There we are. It is now 11 minutes past 8. People coming and going, as I say, already in the morning. The buses were not crowded this morning. How people made out with travel yesterday with the train strike, I have no idea, since I don't use the trains very much. We, one way or another, is I'm happy to say that that it didn't affect me. And I'm not sure how many other people it affected. Well, it affected millions, of course, but what was the impact? I haven't heard anybody complaining about it. So perhaps, as we said earlier, perhaps Mr. Mick Lynch, and his RMT buddies and other unions had better start putting their heads together and say, look, these strikes aren't working the way that they used to. If we want to make our point, what we've got to do is to find a different way. I mean, perhaps it would be putting a block on the computers. In which case, I would join the strike. All right, 8:13, and that's it for today. Please join us at 8:30 for Rouser for Mirador Television, and until then, I hope that you have a very decent day, a very nice day. It's going to be pleasant out there. Do enjoy it, and until tomorrow at the same time, 7:30. This is Rouser Radio saying Rouser, Rouser, Rouser. Toodle pip. I think toodle pip.